1. So how you doing, Chelsea?
Oh, you know.
Life as we Gomez here. Welcome to the meet and greet with Marcos and Chelsea from Life as we Gomez. Can you see my head? It's kind of cut off. let me change that. My hair is high. It's gonna get cut off no matter what. Okay, can everyone hear us? We thought that we would do a meet and greet. You've already met our kids, so we thought we'd tell you a little bit about ourselves.
I mean,
I guess it doesn't have to
would be like meeting in person.
You're right. Okay.
He hates me right now.
This is not going to be in it. Welcome to Life as we Gomez. Man, this has been a long time coming.
Yes, in our last vlog, you were able to meet our 4 children. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Get to know the kids a little bit, their ages, their names, some things that they like, and some hilarious things that came out of their mouths as well. So we figured it was time for you to get to know Marcos and Chelsea.
Yes, the mom and dad of the Gomez family.
Yes.
Who we are and what we do. Oh.
So I'm Chelsea. I'm the mom of Life as we Gomez. This is
Marcos. That is Marcos, not Marco.
not Carlos.
Not Marcus.
Marcos.
Yes.
Or you could call him Kos. That's what my family calls him, and his family, it's a good little nickname for Marcos.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
It's a difficult name for some, which is okay. I'm used to it.
It's really not a difficult name, but people can't seem to get it right. Funny story, whenever we go put our name down for dinner, he never says his real name.
This is true.
It's usually Mark or like John or something you just cannot mess up.
I usually go with Mark just because, and then there's 3 Marks on the waiting list, and so when they call Mark, I'm ready to get my food, and then it's someone else. Should I just go with Marcos?
Just go with Marcos.
And just go with the butchering of the name every time? I don't know.
Anyway guys, so we just wanted to tell you a little bit about our story, how we met, and what's been going on ever since Life as we Gomez started. I'm originally from St. George, Utah.
And I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, just a suburb of Atlanta.
So I went up to Provo, Utah to go to hair school, and I had just graduated, and I was trying to build up my clientele to be in a salon, and so I got a side job to work evenings at the Olive Garden, and that is where I met this guy.
Yes, so I went to Provo, Utah as well. I went there for my undergraduate studies at Brigham Young University, and I got a side job to help with expenses, and it was at Olive Garden, and that is where I met Chelsea.
But I didn't even know who he was at first, because you don't know this, but Marcos is a twin. So he has a twin brother, Marcelo, which maybe you'll see him in some future vlogs. He also lives here in Vegas. So next time he's here, we'll make sure we get him on camera. They look so much alike. Obviously, I don't think that now because we're married and I've seen him for the last 10 years. But at first I thought they were the same person. I had no idea that they were twins. We never worked the same shifts, and I saw his twin every once in a while. So I worked there about 6 months before I even knew who Marcos was. So I started working with his twin. We had the same shifts.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's true. I remember when I went in for an interview, I was there with a group of people. All of us had applied, and a group of already employed workers, Chelsea was one of them. They came over to just meet us or say hi, and I don't think she really realized that
I don't even remember that.
That I was Marcelo's brother, because Marcelo had already been working there for a couple months, and I think she just thought I was my twin brother, and she was like, "Oh, hey, that's weird. You're getting interviewed again?"
I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, I remember the look on her face, and clearly she doesn't remember that.
I don't
moment,
remember that.
but I do.
So Marcelo started working before you?
He did, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, his brother and I became really good friends. We worked almost every shift together. I worked about 3 times a week, and I started getting to know him, and I was like, he's pretty fun. And so I will admit that I maybe for a second could have been interested in his brother for like a split second. Keep in mind, sidebar, I had just come out of a huge 3-year long-term committed relationship. I had a boyfriend, we talked marriage, we almost got married a couple times, and we had just broken up that summer, and this was about October that I started getting to know Marcelo and working with him. And I just was so against commitment. I was so against having a boyfriend. I just wanted to date around and really figure out who I was and what I wanted, because I graduated high school, went right into this relationship, and I thought that was gonna be it, and thank goodness it wasn't, but that's a whole nother story for another day. The camera's about to die. So pause. Okay, so maybe for a second I was interested. Don't worry, nothing ever happened, thank goodness. But I just liked being around his twin and hanging out with him, and I was like, this could be fun, maybe I'll just get to know him. And that's as far as it ever went. Sidebar, back up, totally forgot a big part of a story and a big part of our relationship. When I first started, I was dating another guy that we both worked with at Olive Garden. And that was just a quick little, it was never exclusive, it was just a fun little, quick 2-month maybe relationship. We were never boyfriend, girlfriend, but we basically only saw each other. And then it ended, he went off somewhere for the summer, but I was still like, I really liked him. Like, I thought, that's the guy for me, that's the guy I'm supposed to marry. So that happened, he left, then I met Marcelo, hadn't really met Marcos yet. So Marcelo and I were working a ton of shifts together, and then I realized he had a twin. And Marcos started working, what was it, Friday nights?
I think so, the weekends where we got to work together a little bit more often.
Marcelo and I would work Monday, Wednesday, and then Marcos and another friend, Jeff, would come and work with us on Friday nights. So the 4 of us kind of became, what do you call it? Not the 3 amigos, but the 4 amigos.
Yeah, the 4 musketeers, if
4
there is
musketeers, okay. So we would start hanging up. We would start hanging out after shift and after work. Again, I was better friends with Jeff and Marcelo. And it sounds weird that I was the only girl, but I was so over girl drama at that point in my life too, that I had great friends, great roommates, but I didn't really need to like hang out with anyone else. Like, there was just so much drama that happened in hair school, like I was just over it. So I was all about being friends with guys. And I wasn't interested in any of them romantically. We were just hanging out.
Yeah. So we just, we played games. We'd go over to each other's apartments, play games, watch movies.
Just talk,
eat, talk.
Late.
It was super fun. And you know, at times I felt like the kind of odd man out, just because the other 3.
We worked together all the time.
Yeah, I hardly worked with Chelsea really until later on, but it was super fun still. And Chelsea lived with her sister and another friend at the time, so we got to know them pretty well at the same time. So it wasn't just Chelsea, the only female, all the time.
True. We would hang out with them a little bit, but...
Yeah. But at work, yes, it was Chelsea and the guys.
Well, and after shift, it would be like 10:30 at night, and we're like, let's go to Applebee's, let's go to Chili's, let's go back to my apartment and just hang out. And like, honestly, a majority of the time, we were just talking till like 2 or 3 in the morning, like some late nights. But Marcos was so reserved, like he didn't say much. Compared to the other 2, but the other 2 were a lot more, what do you say, like outgoing personalities, I guess you could say, or just more talkative. So it's not like I didn't know who he was, but I knew him the least. But I was like, yeah, he's fun, whatever. So that was October. That was the first night we hung out. On Halloween night, we hung out actually with a big group from Olive Garden, like a bunch of different people. But then the 4 of us, and there was one other girl at the time, she kind of hung out with us that night. I think we were up all night, just hanging out, talking, having fun, watching some movies. Like, we just had a blast. And fast forward a month, just after hanging out, December came, and it was Marcos's birthday. And I'm trying to think.
If it's my birthday, it's Marcel's birthday too.
Well, we came back to my apartment and we were playing games with my roommates. And I think I just finally saw a different side of Marcos. Like, he was actually cracking some jokes, he was being funny, he was basically just showing his true personality coming through, whereas before, he was also kind of had his eye on a hostess as well. So, not like I was ever interested in him or he was interested in me at that point anyway, but when we hung out, he was always talking about a girl named Courtney and I was always talking about a guy named Mike. So it was just all friends. And so I don't think we were even like, would have seen each other because we were so distracted, if that makes sense.
Right, okay, yeah.
But then that night I saw this whole different side of him and I was like, wow, he's actually funny. And I was like, he's actually kind of cute. And we just started flirting, basically is how it started, playing games. And I was like, who's Marcos? This is interesting. I never would have thought. And then that month we just kept hanging out more and more, and then I don't even know what happened.
As time went on, we tried to find ways where Chelsea and I could just hang out alone, without my brother, without Jeff, without anyone else. That way we can spend a little bit more time just getting to know each other. That's kind of how it all started. And then it just went from there. It was very casual dating, nothing too serious.
But we were such good friends, like hung out literally almost every day, you guys, for like 2 months. Went on our first date in January. He finally like officially asked me out in January, so it was kind of more official, which is always kind of awkward from going from such good friends to like dating. Like we knew we were kind of interested, like there was enough flirtation there, but it's like, oh, we don't want to ruin the friendship and we don't want it to be awkward for Jeff and Marcelo. How do we do this transition?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll try to not make this too long, but fast forward the details. So we dated from January until, what was it, March?
A little bit into April. Yeah.
A little bit into April. Now keep in mind, I'm still like, he's not my boyfriend, like I don't want a commitment. I just was like, this will be a fun little fling. Like, yeah, we're dating. I would say, yes, we're dating, but we're not exclusive. Like, I just still was so afraid to be in a committed relationship after being in one for 3 years that I just was like, I need to keep my options open. I'm still trying to figure out me and what I want, but I'm definitely interested enough to date him. Whereas he...
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, we were exclusive. But we never really had that discussion, and
we didn't.
I didn't really know how to bring that up, and of course, I knew she had her mind was somewhere else sometimes, just kind of holding out for this other dude.
Yeah, he was in the back of my mind because we kind of left things unfinished. Like he had to leave for a summer job, and I knew he was coming back. And yeah, I openly talked about it with these guys. Like I'm like, hey guys, like I still really like this guy, Mike. Like he's coming back. Like I hope that we start dating again. And like I've just had a lot of time, and I just feel like that's someone I'm really interested in. And Marcos knew that, like straight up. So it was never like... I
did know it, but still.
But things were like progressing, yes, but again, not at a fast speed at all. This guy is like, he's come a long way in 10 years, I'll just say that. He's not expressive, like he never told me how much he liked me. We just kind of had fun still, but like there was a little like romantic in it too. So we'd go on dates and we still hang out as a group, but then him and I would do stuff alone too. So we were definitely dating, and people all garden knew that. But people would be like, oh, is Marcos your boyfriend? I'd be like, no, but we're dating. We are dating, you know, but I'm dating other people too, and he's welcome to date other people as well.
And I knew, I didn't call her my girlfriend either. When people asked, we were dating, same thing.
Yeah.
So then April comes around, and this other dude in the background, he comes back. And, I kind of knew this could be really bad news, or I'm really secretly hoping that they've moved on, or maybe he's not interested anymore, so then Chelsea can move on or whatnot.
And he was a little bit of a player, like I'll admit it, and he would admit it too. He was definitely not looking for a committed relationship, and neither was I at that point, but we definitely had like a good connection there, and we both were like, whoa, there's a lot more here than we were planning on. So yeah, he comes back and he's showing interest. And of course, I'm super interested. And I was always very open about that with Marcos. I'm like, I can't fully get into another relationship unless I close the door with this one. And I just don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when he comes back. I don't know if he's even interested in me when he comes back. So he comes back, he's interested. We start talking, long story short on that. He wants to, it's spring break, and he's like, yeah, I wanna come to St. George with you. I wanna come meet your family. And we weren't even dating, but like we were such good friends that he's like, I just want to come have fun with you for the week, because he knew I was going. And so part of me's like, crap, what do I tell Marcos? But then the other part of me's like, I've got to do this. Like I've got to figure out my true feelings. So I tell Marcos that this guy, Mike, is gonna come down to St. George with me and see my family. And I was very open, 100% honest with him.
Yeah, you were. You definitely were. And from the point we had that conversation, I knew it wasn't going to be good, because she was so what's the word? Enchanted with this other dude, that if this guy's going to go down, they're going to have a wonderful time. Like, how could you not? Her family's great, and they were probably going to go hiking, maybe go out on the lake. I just knew things were gonna spark for them. At least the chances were pretty high. So I didn't like it, but obviously I'm not going to say no. Like, no, he cannot go down with you. Yeah. No way.
And he wasn't my boyfriend, so there wasn't really a place, but I definitely felt like he should know. And Marcos had met my family. He'd been down to my home once or twice, and had a great time. So it's not like he hadn't been able to meet my family yet. So, and he couldn't get off work or school or something during that week.
I think it was maybe finals week, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's not even like an option that he could have come instead. Anyway, so Mike does come down with me. We'll try to fast forward this part. The week's great. In my mind at that point, it was everything I ever wanted. At the end of that week, Mike's like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, what are we waiting for? Like, let's be exclusive. Let's figure this out. Like, you're everything I want, blah, blah, blah. So I come back and I have to tell Marcos, obviously, which I knew that would be a hard conversation. And even though I was like, in my mind for the past 6 months, like telling myself, this is what I want this with this guy, I also was developing feelings for Marcos, but I just wouldn't let them quite go to that point. So I knew that'd be a hard conversation. I was super nervous and anxious about it because I did have feelings for him, but my feelings at that point for another guy were stronger. And again, I could not move on with him until I closed that chapter. So why don't you tell this part?
So yeah, she told me. It was after a shift. We were just talking in her car, and she told me she feels like she needs to figure this out with this other guy. And you know, it hurt. It definitely hurt. Didn't shock me though. It didn't surprise me. I kind of knew it was coming, but it still hurt. And I let her know, like I have feelings for you. I mean, obviously I'm not expressive, so I didn't say a whole lot, but
But that was the first time I probably really realized how much he liked me. Yeah. And it was hard for me. I was like bawling through the whole thing, you guys, because I'm like, actually no, I said I said I was gonna date you both. That's what we did.
Is that what we decided
on? For like
a
few days,
yeah. We decided on that.
Because I told Mike, I'm like, well, I am dating Marcos, and I mean, you have kind of just dropped me before. I don't want to break everything off with him, but I'm willing to date you both, basically. Yeah. And like, if you guys have ever watched The Bachelorette, I have a small little feeling of how they feel and how hard it is, because so I had these two great guys, and I didn't know how much I liked Marcos at that point either until I talked to him that night, and I told him, like, and I was honest with him 100% through the whole thing. Just keep that in mind, you guys. Like, I'm not a player. I never have been. But I told him, like, you know how much I've liked this guy, and I cannot move on with you until I do this. And he said, well, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I want to kind of like fight for you, and I want to date you also.
That's right.
So,
man, some of these details we forget after
we do forget
10 years. But yes,
it's all coming back.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I knew they had to figure things out, but yeah, I did reassure her, or tell her, let her know that, yeah, I'm not gonna just give up like that. Yeah. So yeah, I let her know I'm gonna be around. I'll be here.
So I didn't know how I was gonna do this. I hadn't really thought this through. This was all just happening so fast, and I just was like, I just gotta go with my gut and how I'm feeling. So some nights I'd be with Mike, some nights I'd be with Marcos, and they both knew it 100%, so I wasn't being a player, but it was tricky, and that lasted maybe 4 days, if that.
Oh, that's right, it didn't last long.
It was so hard, and that's when we had the hard conversation. I knew my feelings were stronger for Mike at that point, and so I told Marcos that, and that was the really hard conversation too, because a part of me didn't want to let him go, but it's not fun to date two people at the same time, like if you really like both of them.
And I could see it. She was being just torn, like very, very torn. She wasn't happy.
Yeah, it was hard.
You could see it in her face, so it's just like, okay.
And the way he handled that conversation is, I think, what changed it for me. Even though I was pursuing a relationship with another guy, he was just like, I want you to be happy, like, I understand. Like, you know, most guys would be like, screw you. Like, honestly, like, how dare you, or just like, good luck, or just be a jerk about it, to be honest. But he wasn't. He was very kind and loving, and just like, I want you to be happy. Like, I know that you've had feelings for him. Obviously, I still like you. And I think you even said, like, if things don't work out, like, I'll basically wait or be here.
Yeah, I mean, I was still gonna work at Olive Garden. I was still living in town, and it's like, I'll be here if things don't work out.
Yeah, which that shocked me. Like, most guys would be like, heck no, like, I'm out and you screwed me. So
I think I was just holding on to that little hope that this other guy was gonna be as flippant as he was before in their relationship, and just kind of leave, and then here I am to kind of swoop in.
And I was nervous about that too, because I didn't want to get hurt again, especially if I was going to invest a little bit more of my feelings into him. So anyway, it was super awkward because me, Mike, and Marcos all worked at Olive Garden, sometimes the same shift. Yeah. And everyone kind of knew that me and Mike had a thing, and then he came back, and now everyone knew that me and Marcos weren't really it was just like drama and awkward. But thankfully it didn't last long. I think Mike ended up quitting.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of made it awkward between Jeff and Marcelo, because Jeff was ticked, and he thought I had just screwed Marcos. He called me some very choice words, and his brother, you know, who I was also close to, like, I don't know, he handled it pretty good. Like, he understood, but he also was like trying to protect his brother, you know. He was never a jerk to me, but he, like, I actually went to Marcelo and I was like, how's Marcos doing? Like, do you hate me? And he was like, no, he's pretty sad, you know, like, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, you've always told us that you were interested in Mike. This wasn't a surprise, you know. So anyway, Stella? Anyway, so Mike and I dated for a month and a half. Things went really fast, really quickly. Talked marriage, talked dates of marriage, talked about when to get engaged, blah, blah, blah. Spare you all those details. Long story short, it didn't work out. And thankfully, like, that wasn't the guy for me, you know. He's a great guy, but we both kind of realized at different times in the relationship that it just wasn't quite right. And as soon as that happened, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard for me, but I got over it pretty quick. Like, a weekend and Monday, I was like, I'm good. Like, I realized, it just took that whole experience for me to realize that he wasn't the guy for me. And always in the back of my mind, the whole time I dated Mike, I never forgot about Marcos. I still saw him. We were able to go back to being friends. Does that ever happen? No. It doesn't, because there's too many feelings and it's too hurt. And he was just a stand-up guy about it. Like, he was just cool, calm, collective. Like, it was hard to kind of not be flirty sometimes for both of us, but we kept it, like, he respected my relationship with Mike, and we didn't hang out, but we were like friendly at work. Like, we were able to have conversation and just kind of go back to being friends.
I'd make it a point to just kind of nudge in a little comment here or there, just like, things working out still? Or,
yeah,
you know, just like,
which was awkward, because I'm like,
you want me to text you after work today? You know, it's just little things like that. I knew, I didn't push it any further than that. I knew that they were together and pretty serious, so I didn't push anything.
Yeah, so things ended pretty abruptly with Mike. Like I said, we don't need to go into that whole story, but he was having doubts, and then I was having doubts, and then I kind of called it. Like, he finally came around and was like, okay, like, I think I'm ready. Like, yes, you're the one for me. Like, he kind of like dropped me again. Like, not really, but he was just like, oh, we were ready to go. We were ready to get engaged. We had our date. We were about to tell our families. And then he's like, he got scared, which scared me. And then that was my answer to me, that this is not right. I don't want a guy that's gonna second guess. I don't want a guy to question if he's in love with me or not. So that was my answer. I called it. I said, we're done. Let's be friends, or just even like take a minute. Like, let's be done and just not talk for a while. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen later. It'll be meant to be. So that weekend was rough, and I took the time to just kind of get over Mike. And honestly, I can honestly say that following Monday, like, I was good. Like, I wasn't heartbroken. Like, Marcos was not a rebound or anything, but he never left my mind. And I just was like, I just want to talk to him. Like, I just want to hang out with him and not feel like I can't, like, do certain things, say certain things because I'm in this relationship. So
What was it, like July 4th, around that time?
Not quite. It was end of June.
End of June.
End of June. So Mike and I dated from April to about June. And Marcos had been out of town. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He was out of town.
I was out of town. LA, with my family. And, you had called a couple times?
I called Marcelo.
Gosh, she called Marcelo.
And I told him what happened. And I was like...
Oh, okay. So this all happened, their breakup happened while we were out of town.
Yeah. So I called Marcelo and I'm like, hey, just heads up, this is what's going on. I have no idea where Marcos is at. Like, I don't know, but I want to see him. Like, I want to like start hanging out again. Like, I just want to take it like one day at a time and just, I still have feelings, you know? And so he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, can you just fill him out for me? Like, kind of just like, I don't want to hurt him again. Like, I'm not saying I'm like ready to be in a committed relationship. I just want to see him and hang out. So Marcelo kind of played the middleman for us a little bit, felt him out, felt me out, just so we kind of knew we were both on the same page. And back then, 10 years ago, like, he had a cell phone, but he didn't have texting, right?
It was very limited.
It was like,
texting plan or something. I think me and Marcelo shared a cell phone, possibly. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, like there was no texting, which would have been a lot easier, but it was all calling. Anyway, he got back, and that week I was a counselor at Brigham Young University for a Especially for Youth program. And so I was there doing that, and I had a 2-hour break, and I knew he was back, and I was like, come see me on my break. Like, I just want to hear about your trip and whatever. So that was a big point of our relationship. He came, we had 2 hours, we had a conversation on the grass, and I basically just laid it out there. I wasn't really planning on it, but I was like, hey, this is what happened. Like, I can tell you finally 100% that Mike and I are done. Like, I don't want to marry him. I can't say my feelings are 100% done. I did say that, but I don't want to pursue that relationship. And I was like, I have never stopped thinking about you, and I just kind of want to like see where things go. I can't say that like I'm in this 100%, but do you want to just start dating, casually dating again, basically?
What did I say? Do you remember what I said? I say I didn't want the same thing to happen to me. Yeah. Obviously.
And I told you that. I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, I know how bad I hurt him. Like,
it didn't feel good, so I had to play it a little safe. I couldn't
play hard to get.
Even though my mind was telling me, or I don't know, mind or heart, I don't know. One part of me was telling me, it's like, well, yes, let's just pick up where we left off. It'd be easy. And the other part of me just wanted to stay guarded. Obviously, maybe just feel it out a little bit more and maybe just hang out. And
I remember his initial reaction was shocked. Like,
I was shocked.
He was just like Marcelo had given him a heads up that Mike and I had been done, but I don't think he was expecting, and I don't think I was expecting to be like, I want to date you. Like, again, like, I think we were just trying to fill it out and stuff. And so I remember he was like, yeah, like, okay, but it wasn't like he basically was like, you'll have to pursue me, but yeah, I want to date you as well.
The ball was in her court. If she truly wanted things to progress with us, she was gonna have to direct it, because I just didn't want the same thing to happen to me again.
Which I was like totally fine with, because I wanted to go at my pace anyway. Like, I was still just getting over a serious relationship, but like enough that I was ready to pursue a new relationship. Well, not really new, because we've been dating. So it's kind of like we picked up where we left off, to be honest. Like, but things were 10 times better. My heart was a lot more into it. I wasn't having anyone in the back of my mind anymore.
Yeah, her mind wasn't as clouded, I guess you could say. Just not distracted by other people, other interests.
Yeah.
There was just me.
Yeah. And I felt like the relationship was a completely different relationship from round one. Like, I don't know, again, if it was the clouding or if it just was just better. I don't know. I feel like
I didn't change. I was the same person.
Whatever. He did change. He like went to the gym and got like, you probably gained like 20 pounds. He'd like bulked up. Not that that mattered, but I just felt like he was way more attractive to me too. Like I just felt like he got more attractive. Not that he wasn't before.
Same person, guys.
But you were hitting the gym like twice a day just because that's how he kind of coped with it too, you said.
I had more time. But
Yeah.
I wasn't hanging out with her anymore, so I had time to go to the gym.
Yeah, so he had gotten pretty in shape, and not that he wasn't before, he always looked good, but just like a lot. Probably the biggest you'd ever been, like muscle-wise.
Well, I'm bigger now, but
Oh, whatever.
I'm gonna work on that.
Anyway, and I was just like, oh, he just looks better, and like I think we learned a lot in that first time around that I think we were just, it wasn't that beginning stages of still trying to figure each other out. We knew each other well enough, and I think we were both just like went through this traumatic thing that I was like, I need you to tell me how you feel, because, you know, and we had a lot of conversations the next like month about it, you know, and kind of what we went through, and I had no idea you liked me that much and things like that, to really make him more expressive, because I needed that. I needed to know exactly how he felt, where he was at, because I'm a very expressive person, and so I needed that in return.
You know what's funny? Fast forward 10 years. I feel like I'm more expressive than her now.
No.
When we're expressing like affection or love, it's me. I have to like pull it out of her.
I'm not sure about that.
now.
But he has come a long way in 10 years. He's definitely like good. He might be a little more expressive in the love category, but in other categories he's not. Like if I'm like, okay, something's up, like what's going on, how are you feeling about this, like it's still like whatever. But yeah, he's
okay, I can agree with that.
So yeah, fast forward to 4th of July. That was a big weekend for us. I invited him down to St. George to be with my family.
It was a good time?
This time I was like, before we went down, I'm like, I'm not bringing another guy down unless he's my boyfriend. And so I was like, we've been dating about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. And again, when we've already dated 4 months, it was like everything was fast forwarded. Like, it's not like we were getting to know each other again. So we knew pretty quick that like this was gonna go quick if it was gonna go anywhere. He would not commit to be my boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, playing hard to get, which is good, I get it, but I was like ticked, because I'm like...
Like to use those words?
Yeah, like I'm like, if you're gonna come down, like, and I was going with my sister and her boyfriend and my best friend and her boyfriend, and then it's like, I just wanted to be like, yeah, we're together, like, this is real now, like, it's getting more serious, like, you're gonna come down and spend valuable time with my family at my house, like, it's a committed relationship. It's not just for fun.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that conversation that we had.
Yeah. And he was like, well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So I just like let it go. I was like, whatever. Like, he's like, prove it. I need you to like prove it to me a little bit that this is like for real. So it was fine. We had a great weekend, whatever. A month goes by, and then it was time for a family reunion, an extended family reunion. And this is where I was like, okay, you're gonna meet all my extended family, my cousins, my aunt and uncles, my grandparents. Can I introduce you as like my boyfriend? Because I mean, obviously we were, but we hadn't like officially said it. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna let you know, like I'm gonna be like, this is Marcos, my boyfriend. And he was like, no.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I was so ticked at that point. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like stubborn, I get it, but it's been a month and a half of us dating. I had definitely proven to him, I feel like, that I was in this. Yeah. I was pursuing him. Like, there was no even like glimpse of Mike. Like, Mike even tried to come back a couple weeks later. Do you remember that? And I was like, anyway, so I felt like I had proven it to him and shown him that I was in this now like 100%, and I was ready to move forward and see where things could go.
It was a fun weekend. I remember that.
Yeah.
Met a lot of her family, and it was good. And you introduced me to everyone.
Yeah, but I kind of made it a joke. I was like, because I told my sister and my mom, I'm like, oh, I can't say he's my boyfriend yet. And so I'd be like, this is Marcos, not my boyfriend, but I guess we're dating, you know? And it was just kind of a funny little thing, because I wasn't going to introduce him as my boyfriend if that's not what he wanted. But I was kind of like, what's the point then? Like, I was kind of ticked at that point, just like, I don't know where this is going then. But we had, yeah, a great time. And then I think after that, he was like, okay, like, yeah. Like, duh, we are anyway. It's just that stupid title.
Yeah, it was the title. Just, you know, I was probably 99% sure, okay, she's committed. I think the fact that Mike had come back or tried to like talk to her again a couple weeks before that, I think maybe that's why I didn't
But I didn't
want the
even, I
titles.
told him about it, and I was like, I told straight up no to Mike. Like, I was like, nope. Like, I'm glad that you're good and you figured things out, but I have moved on. And I told Marcos that. So that was another huge, like, thing I felt like to prove to you and
Yeah.
whatever. So
that was August. Fast forward to what? September.
Yeah.
September, wow. Things moved fast.
Yeah.
Like once I said, okay, boyfriend, girlfriend titles, it kind of, I mean, just things kept flooding. What am I trying to say? I think things just moved really fast.
Like, we've known each other a year. We spent so much time. We were friends for 2 months straight, hanging out almost every day. Dated for 4 months, take a 2-month break, and then now it's like we're not getting to know each other anymore. Like, we've seen each other in all aspects. So then his family was coming to town.
So yeah, my family came to town in September, like early September, for a family function, and that's where they met Chelsea. They met her. They hadn't really heard much about her, to be honest, because again, I'm not the most expressive type, so I didn't really even talk to my family about who I've been dating.
All they'd heard was when he was in California with them, and they heard all the bad stuff about me. How I broke his heart, and they kind of knew we were dating, and they just heard all the like mean stuff that I did. So they didn't really like me.
They were kind of like, there's more fish in the sea. Like
move on, you don't need her.
Yeah, there's plenty of other girls out there. So I mean, they didn't really think much of her at that point, but they had never met her.
But Marcelo was always a fan. Like, as soon as we got back together, he was like, yay, like, I'm happy for you guys. Like, he was always like our biggest.
Yeah, Marcelo was always in my corner.
Yeah.
And so he kind of helped relay that information to the rest of my family. And so they were on board. They met Chelsea. They loved her. They liked her a lot, as far as I can tell, and they told me. But did they know how serious we were? No.
No.
They didn't.
Because he doesn't say. They just thought, okay, like, I guess he has a girlfriend. Like, I guess they're dating, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I still don't, even when they were in town, I don't think I went into depth about how much I liked Chelsea and how serious we were in this relationship. So
I mean, I barely even knew. Like, I knew we were serious, but like, Marcos hadn't even said he loved me yet. So I think this was kind of like that last straw of like, okay, got to meet your family, and just kind of like, we knew it was coming and we were getting serious, but we hadn't talked marriage. We hadn't said I love you, but everything else was like in line.
Yeah, looking back, I would do things a little bit differently. Maybe just express myself a little bit more, kind of tell Chelsea how I really felt.
Yeah.
Because I did like her.
I knew by his actions, but his words, like, I didn't really know how he felt. Like, I knew he really liked me, but.
A couple weeks after my family left, and that's where things got
interesting.
Interesting.
That's where things, I think we just had a conversation one night, and I think it was me even that I'm just like, I'm sick of like waiting for this big, like, I love you. Like, oh, how did you first say I love you? Like, it was like this big moment or something. And I was just like, it doesn't need to be this big moment. And if I'm feeling it first, like, I'm just gonna say it. So we were just in my apartment on the couch having a conversation, and like, marriage kind of came up, and his family and my family, and like our future and our goals and what we wanted. And I said it first. Like, I was like, well, I don't know about you, I don't know where you're at. And I was kind of bugged, but also like, come on, give me something. And I was like, but I know, like, I love you. Like, I'm 100% in this. Like, I want to marry you, like, in the future. Like, it wasn't like tomorrow or something, but I'm just like, this is it for me. Like, I know that. And I didn't even know that until that moment. Like, it just came out. And instead of Marcos reciprocating, he just was like, okay. And I just was like, and I know him well enough that I was like, okay, he's just processing. Like, he was like, I really like you, but he didn't say I love you back.
I didn't.
And I was like,
I'd never, gosh, that's not true. I don't know if I've ever told someone I love them before.
Yeah, and I had, obviously, the 2 relationships. So I knew what it was when I loved someone. I knew what that felt like, and I knew.
Yeah.
And so I just told him. And you know what? I'm glad that he didn't say it back. Like, I wasn't like 100% surprised, but like, I knew that he did. I just wanted him to say it on his timing, on his terms. Seriously, the toilet in the background. Anyway, I was okay that he didn't say it back because you never want anyone to say it just out of obligation. I knew that he did. I think that's why I was okay with it. But
it's always good to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? It's always good to hear it.
Wanted it to be on like when he felt it, you know? So I was okay with it. So the next day, we went to a BYU game.
I don't remember this.
You don't remember this?
I don't remember the details.
We went to a BYU football game. We were having fun, and it was halftime. We went out on the grass.
Oh yeah, okay.
You finished
Gotcha.
it.
All right, so yeah, halftime. It was a nice, bright, sunny day, beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
We just went and sat down on the grass to talk, and I mean, I don't know how the conversation went, but that's where I reciprocated the "I love you," and I told her that, and I mean, literally, what, 12 hours after you told me?
It wasn't long.
Yeah, I mean, I knew before that I loved her, but
Just
again,
saying it.
I guess. And yeah, looking back, I should have said it when she told me. And I should have said it before she told me. But again, that's just my personality. I've done better the last 10 years. But yes, I did on the grass. I did tell her I loved her, and that I took the conversation we had the previous night seriously. You know, about marriage. I mean, in the future, possibly. You know, if things continue to go in the way they did, or that they were.
So at that moment, it was kind of just like, well, what are we waiting for? Like, I feel like we both just were like, let's get married, basically. Like,
it's just so weird looking back.
It's so weird looking back, but it's like, when you know, and why wait?
Yeah, so we finished up the football game.
No, we left early.
Wow, I don't remember this.
We left early, I remember. I have a better memory.
Okay, where did we go?
We walked straight down to look at rings.
Yeah, literally across the street there's a jewelry store, a jeweler, and they had rings, and we decided to look just to kind of see what Chelsea liked, and
we found one, and we bought one that day.
We found one and bought it. Wow.
Crazy.
Put on the credit card, obviously. Little poor college students. But yeah, we bought it. And they said it would take about, what, a week to come back?
Or it was more like 2.
Oh.
Well, let me show you. So this is my ring. So it's 3 bands. There we go. So it's 3 bands. So the 2 bands on the sides are what needed to be ordered in. They had the main band. So they said, and I wanted it soldered together. Like, I wanted it all 3 stuck together so I wouldn't lose any of them.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that was all we were waiting for is...
And it had to get sized and stuff, so they're like, we'll call you in like 10 to 12 days or something.
Yeah, super nice people.
Yeah.
And you know, pretty affordable price too. So I mean, we just got it then and there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That was kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy. I just said I loved her, and then we're buying her a ring.
Like within an hour. But I think we both knew that we loved each other. I think for me, it was the 4th of July weekend that I realized, like, definitely, like, I could marry this guy.
Wow. That's news. No, I'm just kidding. All I was concerned with, it was just her, and I knew it was going to be her pretty much, I don't know, pretty early on. So we just waited 2 weeks for the ring to come back. But a week after, it was only a week later where they called me, obviously, and they let me know it was in already. We didn't want to, we just said 2 weeks so Chelsea wouldn't know. So then now I have the ring, and it was up to me to propose. It was late at night, but I had planned on taking Chelsea to several spots that meant a lot to us. So things that events during our relationship happened.
Like our first date, which we didn't tell you guys, but
Yep.
we just went to P.F. Chang's.
Yep.
So we started there, we were in the car. It was like 11:30, like it was late.
It was
like,
after shift? Or after
yeah,
your shift?
my
I wasn't
shift.
working.
Yeah, it was a Monday. I remember it was a Monday.
I picked up Chelsea and I took her to the first spot where we had our date, so P.F. Chang's. We kind of sat in their parking lot, talked a little bit. And you know, I'm not sure what Chelsea's thinking at this point. Like, and I just said, well, just come along for the ride and see where I take you, I guess.
I had no idea. Like, I just was like, okay. Like, sometimes we would just go for drives to get away from roommates and just, we talked about a lot of things. Like, it wasn't just that. And then he'd be like, oh yeah, remember this?
Yeah.
Remember this was like our first date? I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny, you know? Didn't think anything of it.
Yeah. And then the second spot I took her to was where we had a conversation after I came back from California, the vacation, where she had just kind of broken things off with Mike. And that's where she told me that she wants to basically start things back up again. And so that was a meaningful conversation. And obviously she remembered. And so that was the second spot I took her to. Then number 3 was when I had told her I loved her. So something that just happened like a week and a half ago. And so that was right by the football stadium. So I take her to this same grassy area right by the stadium, and lo and behold, something that had already been set up. What was it? You tell.
He had a blanket set up, and again, it's like past midnight by now. That's all I could see. He's like, let's get out. Let's go walk around or something. So I was like, okay. And I saw a blanket. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And he had like a rose or a couple roses and what I thought was a book. I'm like, are we gonna sit and read a book? And he had like a flashlight. And I was like, oh, this is cute. Like, again, had no idea, still hadn't thought anything of it.
We sat on the blanket. I told her to open the book. This book was not a novel or anything. It was my journal. So I told her to turn to the last entry, my last journal entry, and I had written in there the previous night, basically everything that I had felt, how I felt about her.
Well, he had written entries since we first started dating. There wasn't a ton, but he wrote about when we first started dating, like our first day-ish, and then definitely when we broke up and how hard that was.
Yes.
And then, yeah, the last like few months, there was a few entries. So.
That's right. So we read a few entries all the way up to until the culminating entry, which was written the previous night. Mm-hmm. And I kind of laid it all out there, kind of expressing my, what's the phrase?
Love?
No, like...
Your words of affirmation?
So I expressed all my love for her, that I would rather spend the rest of my life with no one else. Basically, all in writing, how I felt about her. And the last line, I think, more or less, it says that nothing would make me more happy than to get down on one knee and ask her to marry me. And so I don't know if that caught her by surprise, but... It
still didn't. Like, honestly, I was just like, oh yeah, I can't wait till we get engaged, you know? And then I look over and he's down on one knee, you know? Like, because we were sitting, but it was so dark, and I was like, he had me read everything. Mm-hmm. So I was like reading it, you know, and we talked about it for a second, and then I was like reading that part, and I'm like teary-eyed and crying. And then he got up and I look over and he was on one knee, and I was like, what? How do you have my ring? Like, he had the ring box, and
so
popped the question.
And she said
no. Of course I said yes. So he had just the main band, not the 2 bands, because they were like, hey, the main band's in if you want to propose, and then we can get the other 2 bands soldered together. So he totally surprised me, caught me off guard there, because I thought at least 2 weeks. And yeah, this was like 4 or 5 days later, so.
Yep. So that happened, early morning of September 16th. Mm-hmm. I mean, really the night of September 15th, but it passed midnight. And then we settled on a date to get married, which was in 2 short months after that.
Yep.
So November break, pretty much, November 22nd. And I mean, we had to send out invites and get everything planned really, really quick.
It was quick. But we wanted it to be quick because he was in school, and like we didn't want to like have him miss all the school. So we're like, we either have to do it on a break, Thanksgiving, or Christmas, which who wants to like get married at Christmas? I don't know. I never did.
It was gonna be cold.
It was gonna be cold, and like just like we wanted to spend Christmas together, like we, you know, and be married already. And then we just didn't want to wait till he was done with his next term. So we did it in November. Yeah. And no regrets. Like, I mean, looking back now, knowing all the fun wedding stuff, it's like seeing my sisters get married. I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I would have put more thought and stuff. But in the moment when you're so in love, you're just like, I just want to be married. Like, I don't really care about all the details. But it all was beautiful. It worked out. We'll attach some pictures at the end of this, just like our wedding day and the night we got engaged. We did take a picture. I was like even in like just like a zip up hoodie, like it was cold, like hair in a ponytail, like I just like no makeup hardly, like it wasn't like this glamorous moment where we got all dressed up and stuff, but it was like perfect. Like I wouldn't change it at all. So
it was a good night, and I had called my family pretty much the day after, and they were in shock.
Yeah, he was on speakerphone. They were like not exactly happy.
Well,
I still don't think they were happy. He says they were just in shock, but they were like his dad was like, "Are you sure?" And like,
yeah,
like I mean, I get it.
Understandably, they were surprised and like, "You sure this soon?" Like,
yeah, are you
didn't
sure
you just start
she's
dating
the
her?
one? Yeah, and it's like he had to explain like, I just haven't told you, but me hearing that and only meeting them once was kind of like. I was kind of like, your family doesn't like me. They don't want this to happen. They think it's too soon. Like, it just was kind of like hard to hear with my in-laws. Obviously now it's fine. And they came around. I just think they were in such shock, you know. They were very supportive and everything, and it wasn't a problem. But that night I remember being like, oh my gosh. They were like not happy that we're getting married.
Yeah, I had to keep telling her that they were just surprised. They just didn't know the timeline, and that's my fault. And I didn't fill them in really hardly at all. And really the most information they got was from Marcelo. And so obviously, I mean, everything worked out great. I mean, 10 years later, we still got these rings on. And
we got married November 22nd in the St. George Temple. It was a beautiful day. Wouldn't have changed anything about it. And here, 10 years later and 4 kids. We've been through a lot. Marriage is not perfect. Well, our marriage is not perfect. I don't think anyone's is. We've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but it's just made us stronger. Through a lot of schooling. Marcos has been graduated for 3 years. He's a practicing physician assistant in Vegas.
It's been a great life. A wonderful life. Yes. You see that movie, you know what I mean.
It's one of our favorites.
We're glad that we could tell our story to you guys.
Yeah. Sorry this was long, but we wanted to share kind of some of the details just to let you really know, more about us and our story. And hopefully you liked it. Comment below if you have any questions for us. We'd love to answer them. Like, comment, and share. And
hopefully we'll be able to do a live, and that way we can get some really live feedback, live questions, and we can answer your questions. There's plenty, I'm sure, that you need to ask or want to ask.
We're currently just waiting on YouTube to approve us to be able to go live and be monetized. So that's super exciting, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Almost have 6,000 subscribers. We feel super lucky, super blessed to be growing our channel as fast as we are, and we love it. We love it, and we hope you guys do too. All right, so here we are, 10 years later with 4 kids. It can be crazy, but it's just life as we go, Miss. So we're just gonna close out the vlog from us to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
next
one.
time.
You think that I should calm down, and that I'm overthinking everything about you, and that we're good the way we are. But I don't know that much about you, what things you like and what you don't. It's not that long since I met you for the first time. You know we should work it out. You know we should work it out. Before I'm too invested, I should